bit later yourself, please feel free to go on, have a look at that. How we roll here. So the way that the Banks Peninsula Community Board works is that we kind of have like this dining table where that's where all the talking happens. We sit and we listen mostly, and we have people who have booked in to come and sit up the front, and we will listen to what's going on there. Just sit back and relax. If you're sitting here, this is the lounge. This is where the relaxing happens. We will call you up when it is your time to come up. Other than that, to sit back, relax. We're a friendly bunch. We will respectfully listen, and the talking happens up here. So thank you very much for joining us today. Shall we start with, and we are live, me karakia tātou. Takataka taho ki re takataka taho ki te toa. Kia mahi nehi ki uta. Nā taratara ki toa. Ia na te atakura. I tia he huka. Tihe Moni of it. Rhoda, thank you. Morning, Tyrone.
I'd say sorry I'm late, but I'm not.
No, you just did you see me? I was filibustering.
Sorry, I'm almost late.
Good. Right. We are going to have a moment's silence now for Russell Wedge. Russell was a former parks planner for City Council who worked closely with Banks Peninsula Community Board over the years, and he will be greatly missed. Thank you.
Pretty sorry to hear that.
Yes, yeah. Apologies today from Nigel and Luana, who can't join us here today. We don't have any late arrivals. That's great. Any declarations of interest, feel free to mention them now if you've noticed them coming up on the agenda or as they come up during the meeting. And we'll move right along to confirmation of previous minutes. We'll take those as read. Are there any questions before I get a mover and a seconder?
Happy to move.
Asif, happy to move? Have a seconder, please.
Yep.
Yes,
Sure.
that's right. All those in favour? Yes, that's carried. Thank you, team. Public forums. We've got Alison up first. She's coming to talk to us about various topics. Please come up to the front, Alison, wherever you are, over there. Welcome on up. Now we do have a timer. I'll let you know when you're about a minute before the time is about to go. Okay, lovely. Thank you.
These will be printed off for you. I only came up, first of all, there's a Margaret Carpet tree. Pass that round, and this is the first thing I'm talking about. It's the top track on run between the White Gates and Corsia Bay. Nobody knows why it's been authorised to be cut down, how it's been cut down, why it's been done, all the cut, but it's perfectly healthy. We wanted to know about that, so that's fine to deal with that one. I also point out on the same track, there's a huge copse of sycamore. Now, sycamore is the scourge of Littleton, scourge of Banks Peninsula, and I'm sick of it. I've spent over 30 years cleaning up my way. Because I've had 3 years of illness, it's overgone because people's sycamore trees. They're all over the place. Ask Hugh Wilson about it, and he will stand by me on this one. There's one bay in Banks Peninsula somewhere, they've quite happily got rid of them. They're not difficult to get rid of. And they're dreadful. They don't offer anything for anybody in terms of the pest, which you may call them, or birds or whatever. They're hopeless. They don't make, there's no use for nests or anything. And you know how the little aeroplanes, people don't. Please get onto that one. Dunedin, by the way, the reference, Otago Regional Council, I've got a very good report on that, how to get rid of them. It's very good in Dunedin. They've done very, very well. I don't want to go on this too much, but I'm worried about I could call it an Orwellian approach to pest eradication and habitat. I'm solely a habitat person. There's no point getting rid of pests if you haven't got habitat. So habitat has to trump pests all the time. I'm not saying it's really good pests, but we need to be looking, and not from a vermin's point of view, we need to be looking about management point of view. I'm going to refer to 4 books here. There's a list of them here. I want you to think about them and read them anyway. One's Wild Souls, Freedom and Nourishing in a Non-Human World. These are written by professional people. This one is an excellent book. Stowaway, the Descriptive History of Rats. You should know about these things. And this one, Pests, How Humans Create Animal Villains. This one's not in the library yet, but I'll recommend it. I want you to think about these things. I want you to think about more laterally about pest eradication, how we approach them. I do it in a different way because I have an ethic about ahimsa, which is non-violence to every human being, every creature. So I don't have pest eradication in my vocabulary. I do it in a different way. I won't go into how I do it, but never mind. It can be done. Those things are very important to think about. Just get it into your ears and get it into your mind about different ways of managing our physical environment. You know, the other 2 things I want to talk about, I live in Jackson's Road. There was a house being built. Some of you will know it is Bill Thomas's old house. Lovely old man, he died about 8 years ago. Now, a house is being built on, it's 47 Dublin Street. Nothing wrong with that, it's not a problem at all. The council is responsible for the retaining wall. At the moment, there's a digger there, and there's a very, very narrow road with a wire fence and absolutely no safety area at all, with a 2.5 metre face there. Something will happen. If there's a rain, look, it could collapse. A big truck could collapse. I don't know what's going on. There's been no communication from the builders, from the developers, or anybody. You know, I'm not criticising the people who own it, but there's something gone wrong there. Now, the second thing is, which is really important, that unfortunately, you can't put a map of Keep-It Raider, can you? No. Can you not? You can't put a map of Littleton up on your screen? Taking too much time. Is that a no?
No, sorry. If they had it beforehand, I think, but it would just eat into your time.
There was a problem there.
Okay, right.
Apparently you did have it beforehand. Never mind. No, it comes up Dublin Street. You've got a first zigzag and then you have another zigzag. Now, this is right where the house is. We have always, in the last, I've been here 40 years, there's a space you can move across. So if somebody's coming down, you can pull aside. And so now, unless that is going to be dealt with, it's going to take a year apparently to get the house finished. If that has been not considered within the plan of the retaining wall, it'll be an absolute disaster for everybody who comes up and down there, because you'll have to back either up 40 metres or down 40 metres in a very, very narrow road. That's all I've got to say.
No, I see plenty of nodding around the table at that concern and the other things that you have mentioned in regards to a different way of approaching habitat, maybe with respect
I'll write something for you sometime.
and macrocarpa. So what we'll do is we'll get our staff to look into those questions. Thank you for bringing them to the table and to our attention. And have you got those books noted on that piece of paper?
Yes, there's 3 pages. It's a picture of the tree.
Yeah. I'd be very curious. And the macrocarpa.
I mean, if 3 of them are available in the library, one of them is not yet, but I will recommend it.
Okay.
They're just a different view for you all.
Great. Yes.
Yeah.
So we just don't have got a lot of things to get through today.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether it's possible for the council to come back with what they're planning on.
Well, the staff
Yes,
questions.
send it back to her.
Yes.
How do you know what's going on?
We will report back.
Is that enough for me? I can go home?
Thank you so much for coming in today and for letting us know about those issues. Really appreciate it.
Alison, I could probably give you a call and
Happy Christmas to you.
Alison,
talk to Gillian. Chat to Gillian.
Yeah. I'll give you a call and give you an update.
Right, Donald Street and Seafarers Centre, if we could have Reverend John McAllister. Sorry, I was about to say McAllister, I'm sure you get that all the time.
Yeah, I get it all the time.
Yeah,
Time.
come on up, let us know what.
First of all, thank you to the chair and to the board for allowing me to come here and chat to you today. Donald Street. If you've got some pictures here, a picture of the Seafarers Centre, there's a picture of Donald Street, that'll be fine. Originally, the Seafarers Centre was in Donald Street, and that property was sold a number of years ago, and the museum had it for a while. The current Seafarers Centre that you see here is actually temporary because the building, previous Seafarers Centre, was destroyed in the earthquake. I think we've got consents now running through to a couple more years. The Seafarers Centre really is not fit for purpose now. I'm just looking out the window, you see that ship that's turning around there. The crew on board that, under the Maritime Labour Convention, which is an international convention that the government signed, there is a responsibility of the state, not me, not the charity, there is a responsibility of the state to ensure that every seafarer comes off and has a facility for them to be able to go to, that they would have at that facility Wi-Fi provision, transport provision. We will drop Wi-Fi to that ship so they can contact home. And we get about 200 seafarers a month coming to the Seafarers Centre. We change about $10,000 a month in money. That's going directly into local, unlike cruise ship passengers who hop on buses to go to the city. The seafarers will be spending in town. That's only a fraction. That's only what comes through us. So, and then cruise ship crew, probably another, what I reckon, be about 250,000 probably. It's generally coming into Littleton. So the responsibility for facilities and services lies with the state now. And what's happened is the state contracts us to provide those. This is a new development, and so we are currently contracted by Maritime New Zealand to provide the facility and the services, and we receive full funding to do that. So we don't have to run sausage sizzles anymore.
That's great.
But the important thing about this is that shift is significant, that this responsibility for providing for the facilities and the services lies with the state, and the state in cooperation with the owners, which the port is actually owned by the Christchurch City Council. Christchurch City Council passed a resolution, I think it was 2 years ago, and when we were members of the community board, that they would honour the Maritime Labour Convention and seek to and that can be found somewhere, will seek to facilitate the care of seafarers as they come into the port. Probably because there's a duty of care there, really, because the port is where they're coming to. Now, this is a bit of a long preamble to something about Donald Street, is the fact that we've always been interested in Donald Street. We put the original expressions of interest into Donald Street. That wasn't picked up. We also, this board instructed Christchurch, City Council, property to talk to us. They never did. They never came back to talk to us. We noticed that there's a new proposal, and that new proposal by the group is proposing that it had talks with the Toy Library and Project Littleton, which I think are probably useful conversations. But I think the conversation really needs, I think a major conversation really needs to be with us, because currently we are providing the facilities and the services for the seafarers that come into the port that the port owns. Now, what my suggestion is here is a bit of a change of thinking that needs to happen, is that Donald Street, if the development's going forward there, the possibility that council starts to think that council's responsibility is to provide that facility, not us. We're a charity. We don't have to provide those facilities anymore. That responsibility now lies with the state in cooperation with the other bodies that are stakeholders with seafarer welfare. So my suggestion would be that the conversation might have to be that the council has to start looking at providing the facilities for seafarers, not us. I mean, the council provides facilities of toilets, various things, various facilities for visitors that come into the country or into Canterbury, Banks Peninsula. We often talk about council facilities. I think it's fine to talk about the facility that the council is providing for seafarers. And if that facility is provided by the seafarers, then it can be contracted out for someone to run it. And so all the funding's there for that now. So it doesn't require. So the central government through Maritime New Zealand will pay for power, will pay for the running, but will pay for the staffing of it. And so I think that's where I think the conversation probably around Donald Street needs to lie. If that's going to get developed, why not create a part of that for a fit-for-purpose seafarer centre that also encapsulates the fact that they need the cruise ship crew to have a place that they can come and rest at. It's a well-known fact that if there is a seafarer centre in a town, it attracts the seafarers out off the ships into the local community, and particularly the cruise ship crew, because there's hundreds of them, and that actually puts dollars into the pockets of the local businesses. So I think it's two things. One is that it's advantageous to have a seafarer centre. There was a requirement under the law to have a seafarer centre. A council facility for that would be a good idea because it is a council-owned property. And I think Donald Street is the perfect place for that. There should be a conversation around the possibility there.
It's a very interesting question. Unfortunately, we run out of time.
That's right.
Asking you any more questions around that, but it's actually duly noted here that that is a conversation that is beginning. And thank you for all you do already. It's greatly appreciated.
Yes.
And hope you have a good season.
Good. Now, with another hat on,
Unfortunately, we're out of time today.
I did ask specifically for the discussion about the discussion too. Yeah.
No, I understand it's my discretion. We've already had two new people today. We've got.
No, I said I've come for two things. One is the Vicar of Littleton.
Have we been
and-
there for that time? Have we been
No,
there?
I thought it was just one, but we can 3 4 minutes.
Okay, sure.
Well, I'll be quick about that. If there's another picture there of go through to this is me with the hat on as the Vicar of Littleton and the 175th celebration of the Canterbury celebration. As many of you know, there is a memorial to that, particularly to the women who were the original pioneers up on Cunningham Terrace there. It's a bit of a state. It might be nice if that was fixed up in the 175th.
So whereabouts is this here?
Cunningham Terrace.
Okay,
But that's that.
lovely. Thank you for bringing those two things to our attention. Appreciate your time this morning. Sorry about the rush through.
No, I appreciate that. I've been on the other side of the table and the last thing you want to do is go on.
Thanks, John.
Thanks,
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Right, next we have Howland. Yes. For the action, no, I didn't notice any action out of that, other than just that it's noted.
There's a mural that was painted there a number of years ago.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
The mural.
So two things I've noted. One was for the council to respond to the request around Donald Street to add, pass on to staff.
Don just wants
Street,
to be part of that conversation as that
Yeah.
site evolves.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's what I
So
understood.
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the mural is to,
And this is some of
Yeah.
actually stating that in the.
is to get looked at by council staff. Yeah.
Maintenance.
Great, thank you.
Fine for that.
Thank you.
Howard. Evening, Howard. Come on up, it's your turn in the hot seat. Marine Drive from Charteris Bay, maintenance and safety, is that right?
You've got that.
Yes, fantastic, we will find that.
Yeah, first of all, thanks to the committee board and chair for allowing me to make this very brief presentation, and it's good to see Howard here. And it's pretty unusual to have two Howards in the room, so maybe confusion arrived if Howard's getting two.
Sister.
Howard squeezed. So just the next slide, thanks. Here's the clicker. Yeah,
What's your name, Howard?
you can. So I'm actually chair of the Charters Bay Residents Association.
Point it this way.
You point it towards me.
It's weird, yeah.
No,
Is it turned on its side?
no, it's just working.
Pressing the arrows or the read button or?
Oh, well.
Just point it this direction and staff will be able to click it forward.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, all right. This is the first slide anyway. Nearly four. We're talking about a section of Marine Drive, which is from Paradise Beach, which pretty much starts the steps on the left and goes to Bradley Park. And it's a section of road, particularly in the headland and the lower part of it, has been identified in the coastal adaptation plan as being top priority. And that road is designated to be maintained and raised and the seawall repaired in preparation for sea level rise. And there's access to the communities beyond, of course, as well. It is also the community's chosen route for the head-to-head walkway. And at the moment, there are 2 barriers in that walkway completed, plus also it involved 2 fairly major safety issues. First one being, if we could pop through to the next slide. The section of Marine Drive between Paradise Beach itself and the Anderson's Road North intersection. At each end, there is actually a raised footpath and curb and channel at each end of that. And approximately 250 metres in between, there is no footpath or curb and channel. And pedestrians are forced to walk on the road, as you can see in the far photograph, when cars park on that stretch of road. And Paradise Beach is a particularly popular beach, not only in summer, and 90% of people actually walk there, partly because there's only 2 car parks actually above Paradise Beach, above beside those steps. A little girl was killed there around 1968. There is now a pedestrian crossing. That second photo shows you we're looking from Paradise Beach south, and you can see the signage for the pedestrian crossing in a section of raised curb and channel and footpath. It's only about 240 metres that requires a raised curb and channel, and the council did actually price that around about $250,000 way back when we were looking at the first consultation for the head-to-head walkway. But we've been asking for this to be done. We appreciate that there is a lot of road Marine Drive between there and Diamond Harbour which doesn't have proper footpaths, but this area near Paradise Beach is particularly well used and particularly dangerous. We'd ask council to have a look at that. I did get a response from the snap centre side, which I sent through, and the long-term solution is to apply for funding through the LTP.
Interesting.
Right, we can move on to the next section, please. Now, this is the section around the seawall, the Marine Drive and seawall around the headland, north of Bradley Park. There's approximately 240 metres, linear metres, over 3 areas, where the seawall has eroded and it's fallen away, and the road is very exposed to undermining. I've actually walked this area with Luana and produced a wee report for her with these similar photos. And it's surprising how close the road is, if you see that lower photo, how close the road is to being completely undermined. So whilst it has been identified as a section of road which is important and will be retained and raised and seawall repaired in the coastal adaptation plan, that is probably in a sort of a 20-year, I think it's in the 20-year cycle. What we're saying is that this road will need maintenance and the seawall will need maintenance in the next 5 years. Otherwise, it will be undermined. It's major arterial route. And at the same time, as the seawall and the road are maintained, we would expect the berm to be widened to about 1.5 metres, which will also make it a safe walkway. People walk along that stretch of road all the time. It's very dangerous. At each end of the walkway around the headland, the berm is very wide. And people don't know, if they haven't been there before, how narrow it is in the middle. And they're already committed to walking around. They find themselves right up against the white line on the road. So what we'd ask again is that the council could apply for some funding through the long-term plan.
Mhm.
And at the very least, get an engineer to come down with me and inspect that section of road. And you can't really appreciate it until you get off the road and onto what's left of the seawall and look back.
Right.
And there's just one more slide, just showing again the erosion from if you get off the road and look back, you can see what's happening with the undermining wave action with the seawall having been washed away.
Right, so with that timer going off, unless there's something else here, I did note that Tyrone had a comment and a question in regards to something else.
I've got more comments than we've got time for, but thanks, Howard. I'm just if I may quickly, so thank you for the bit about the footpath. Just that 200 metres of footpath. I think that's that's been raised with the traffic engineers. We've had staff advice. Right. Okay. So you sent me an email. Okay. Right. I probably haven't seen that one, so I have to catch up with you on that one, Howard.
Was there something in regards?
Thank you.
Something
for raising it.
happening? Oh, so the eating away of the road. Is that?
Well, there are two things there. There's a footpath, and then there's the eating away of the road. The eating away of the road that's a coastal adaptation problem.
Yes. Yeah. But I heard
but
you say that's already been dealt with.
no, the footpath
Oh, right.
piece
Sorry.
I've raised with that's long-standing, sitting with the traffic engineer,
Okay.
and apparently I've had some advice back on that, but I haven't read it.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
We're working on it. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that to the
TBD.
table.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Till war this afternoon.
Yes.
Right. Moving right along. Let's at the tables. Wendy, Littleton Energy Transition Society.
Say, I'm a co-chair of Let's, but Dana Dockledge is going to do the talk today.
Yeah. Welcome. Come on up. Hey.
Hopefully this will work.
Dana.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Dana. I'm the co-chair of Littleton Energy Transition Society. And it's working, yes. So we are an organization that is working with our purpose is to facilitate the energy transition in an inclusive and equitable manner for Littleton. As we know, everyone in Littleton knows that they're part of Littleton because of the geographical boundaries, and it makes us a great location for pilot projects. Well, you're doing well. Yes. I did my whole slide this way.
That's right. Staff can do it if you point it this way. They can. Thanks, Eva.
Cool. So we have a huge range of businesses, and the main point of this particular one is that the businesses all work during the day, and we have a lot of energy use. So you'll hear in Australia and stuff that there's a problem with too much energy being produced during the day. We don't really have that problem because we have so much energy that can be used during the day. So we're a great place for solar and wind. Yeah, daytime energy use. So we have been doing community engagement so far through 2 hour solar cafes. We've had an energy industry speaker series. We have more than 40 paid members so far, but we're only in our first full financial year. We went to the Littleton Expo, met with other resilience focused groups and answered school kids' questions. Littleton has the third highest EV market share by town in New Zealand. We're only behind Waiheke and Central Wellington. So we're already thinking about the transition. We just want to make sure that it's equitable for everyone. And recently we spent a 12-week activator program with Araaki and Orion and CEA, learning from the people in the industry all about community energy and what we need to do to put our project together, direct access to questions. It's been fabulous. So that has, can you click back on the PowerPoint?
That please.
I think we're on Zoom now. And now we are ready for our first community energy project. The Emergency Hub Resilience Project. So we're electrifying the emergency hub during power outages for civil defense emergencies. The system has to be sized for resilience. And with that, we'll be able to provide on-site renewable supply for the council offices and the rec center at their market prices and provide grid balancing services to Littleton. And hopefully also generate a surplus that will then seed our future projects. So if we get this one going, it should seed other ones into the future. The system that we want to install has 2 large solar arrays, one pointing north and one pointing west. It has resilient sized batteries, and this is an expandable area. So if we want to do more and more, or if Orion wants us to help with grid balancing, then that's where we'll be able to put those. The buildings are 3-phase buildings, so we'll be able to export more just from a lines point of view. Orion has already said that we'll be able to do at least 40, and they're looking into more. And the site has really good expansion potential from a microgrid point of view. We've got the Briggs Row pensioner cottages right next door. We've got the building room right now. And the EV charging station, the LGG charging station right there. So this microgrid could expand, and then we could look at other ones into the future. This is the system we're looking at. We've annualized over a year. So you can see that the solar generation, that's the yellow part. In a civil defense emergency, even if we had emptied the battery pretty early in the morning, there would already be enough power for communications and small charging and lighting, things like that throughout the day. And then the green part is the battery support, and that's for normal usage. And the blue is the current usage. Now, it wouldn't take very much to change that usage in a power outage to be able to fit within that green. Our model is a behind the meter business model. The system installation will cost about $135,000. We're hoping to get that funded. Otherwise, we'll spend our whole time paying for financing. This will then generate about $6,000 for the council, which is about 60% of what they're currently spending. And the daytime access, we will still produce daytime access. And so that is about $3,500 over a year. Subtract from that maintenance, asset costs, insurance, admin costs, and then add on to that grid balancing earnings. And this is sort of an unknown. It's going to be a bit of a pilot project to see what we can do. So here's the spot prices. You see those 2 peaks, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. Because we have a large size battery for the resilience aspect, we can then use that to help balance the grid. And if we put energy out when it's low, then we can actually bring the prices down for everyone. Maybe a little bit in the beginning, but little steps. So we'll have 2 connections to the grid, one with the current provider for that 40% that's not already covered, and the second one for the spot market to do this. So we use a program transfer switch, so it automatically swaps from one to the other, low demand, fill the battery, high demand, export to the grid. So our next steps are to collaborate with the council. We have a lot of questions about the building infrastructure and to make sure that that's all going to fit with what we're looking for. We need to sign a draft of power purchase agreement. We need to set up the roof lease for ongoing maintenance. And we need to collaborate with Orion. These are currently partway underway, the second connection and the approval for exporting more than the 15. And we need to secure our initial funding. So in order to drive an equitable and affordable energy transition for all of Littleton, we're going to need funding for the project in the beginning. And that is us.
Wow, great. Okay, so let us know what's going on. Is there anything else that we can help out with?
Mostly just collaboration opportunities. If you hear of anything, or if there's anything that the board could do for that funding, just get us connected. We're trying to talk with as many people as possible so we can find all collaboration potential.
Fantastic. Very exciting. Yeah, we have to move on. Sorry, we are really short of time.
Yes, it's really important. Thank you.
I just want to say, just noting how people driving EVs and stuff, and how few people have garages in Littleton. There's a real opportunity there somewhere to do something sort of clever, isn't there? So I'm really open to hearing ideas there.
That's great.
Love what you're doing.
Thanks, Dana. Thanks, Mandy.
Thank you.
Daryl from Chorley House, come on up.
Koto.
Well done.
I don't expect any action points from this presentation.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'm Daryl Hall, the new general manager of the Chumley Children's Centre and resident of Chumley in the 1970s. For you today is through you, as representatives of the Peninsula. I want to thank the people, volunteers, businesses and donors of the Peninsula for their support for Chumley children. Chumley is a service that belongs to the people of Canterbury and draws support throughout Canterbury. And through you as advocates for the interests of the community, I want to connect with your constituents who don't necessarily know that Chumley is a service for them. Also, we have a responsibility to be part of this community in the Takiwā of the Ngāti Wheke. So we provide a free short-term planned and emergency respite care for tamariki aged 5 to 12. We provided this service since 1925. We're 100 next year.
Oh, happy birthday.
Is that you inviting us, Daryl?
It's really good. In my time, it was a home. Children stayed there for long periods of time. Now it isn't. Typically, children will stay there for 3 nights, up to 8 times a year. So the model's changed. It's no longer a home. So the children stay there in times of family stress or crisis. For example, single parents without support, at time of illness. A lot of grandparents caring for children. We had one the other day, he's got 5 children to look after. For various reasons I need to go into. So we feel niches allow difficult times to be managed rather than escalated. We're a service at the top of the cliff, if you like. We also offer outreach services to children and their whānau through our AWHI team made up of social workers, youth workers, and whānau or navigators. When children stay with us, they get 24/7 support made of structured social interactions and learning, outdoor activities, sleep times, structured hygiene, and structured meal times. Good basics for children, essentially. Now, our respite services gives families time to breathe and make better decisions for their future. Chumley costs around $3 million a year to run, with 20% of that funded by the government, and rather 80% is from trusts, grants, events, and donations from Ward of Canterbury, including those that get second in our pub quiz.
Who got third?
So lastly, through you, I want to reiterate to the people of the Peninsula that we are a free service for them. Now, we draw children from, because we connect well to the schools, from 3 of the schools at the Peninsula, which is about proportionate to all of Christchurch, so that's okay. But you don't know who is, for example, on farm or a bit isolated, who doesn't know that they can check in with us, separate service for them. So we have children from Kaikoura through to Waitaki. That's my lot. Thank you and Merry Christmas. No action thoughts.
Thank you very much. And respite care is so very, very important. And thank you for all you do. And it's good to know that there goes out to. So what is the area?
Canterbury.
Just it is like from Kaikoura down to
Waitaki.
and how far across?
Oh, to the Alps, but there's always a conversation to be had.
Okay.
You can't just sort of draw an arbitrary line and say, well, just because the kids are, I say, not Arthur's Pass, but what's the next town over? Anybody?
Atira.
Now, what are you going to do? You're going to say no?
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a conversation.
I'm sure the board can include, if we get some information or maybe a link to your website, we can do that on the board newsletter following that'll be out by the end of this week. And that goes to, that has quite a wide Peninsula distribution. So we can do that.
Yeah, thank you. I'll send something through to you.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Daryl.
Daryl, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you also.
So that's the end of our public forums. But we don't have any deputations for equipment and presentations of petitions. Reserve committee meeting minutes. Linda.
Yeah, the great diet.
Marina.
So I'll try and whiz through this. Le Bons Bay, you have an extra resolution there to approve the appointment of Michelle Rogers and Tim Matthews. Michelle has experience working within a council environment, so her skills and knowledge will be appreciated by the committee. And Tim is a long-standing local of the Bay with lots of practical skills to offer the reserve committees. Littleton Reserves, you have a resolution, note that Helen Shaw, chairperson of Littleton Reserves, has resigned. And thank her for her service. Helen is moving away from the Peninsula and will have handed over the reins to a new chair at their 2nd of December meeting. Robinsons Bay, you have a resolution to note that Suki Thompson has resigned from the position of chairperson and to thank her for her service. Suki remains a member of the committee and Karen Watson has been elected to the chairperson role. Chris Pottinger has also resigned from the Robinsons Bay committee.
Stanley Park, you have a resolution to approve the appointment of Sarah Ott, Adam Martin and Pam and Dave White to the committee. These new members are neighbours to the park and bring new enthusiasm as well as a wealth of experience in tourism, small committees, operations, finance and governance. For Stanley Park, funding options are being considered for the completion of the proposed realigned walking track that gentles the incline for a safer walk up the hill. Nothing else to report.
There's something about a devotional boat wash as well in there.
Yes, it was raised that the local community may push back regarding changes to campsites as well as the potential loss of the boat engine wash facility. That's related to stabilisation works that are happening along Piper's Stream. And I can tell you that the project manager has escalated the matter of the boat wash to see if a solution can be found. The existing boat wash is actually illegal.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know. Any other questions about reserve committee meeting minutes? Okay, well, I'm happy to move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Yep, Tyrone. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you very much, Linda.
Thank you, very good.
Very good. No, it's there.
Do we know who the new chair of the board is for the reserve committee?
What question is that, sorry?
The local reserve committee, who's the new chair? We know?
Stanley.
Oh, the Littleton one.
Oh, the
Yeah.
We haven't been informed.
Oh, okay, sweet. It's a shame to lose Helen, but never mind.
Staff reports. Colin, come on up. This is you, your time to shine, yeah. No pressure. Acquisition of deed land along the road stopping and amalgamation, that's a mouthful. Corner of Harmons Road, and how do you pronounce the other road?
Oh,
I'm not a local, so I don't know what it's called.
sorry.
Bolus. I'd hate to say it wrong.
Thank you. So I've taken, you've all read the report. Have you got any questions? So this is a historic thing you'll see in the appendices. There's a number of plans in there that show the 40 odd square metres of land that we've been using for roads for over 100 years.
This is like the ultimate in council sort of just steady progress.
So what have we got? Page 39, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so the appendices, like I say, have got a number of aerial photographs and there's some historic photos of how the road is being used. There's one plan in there that shows all three parcels of land that were bought by council at one stage there, and the last one, which is on the right hand side, which is the piece where this piece comes from. Yeah. Last year, I legalised a piece of Harmons Road, which had a big dog leg in it. And so we're using the same plan as that to do the road stopping. So once the deeds land is acquired by council, then we can stop the other bit and amalgamate that with Lotus Park. We can't do that road stopping until that happens because we'll only have a legal road of about 1.5 metres wide. Yeah. While the formation is there, the legality of the road. And then when we finish this, then Orion won't need an easement. Mobil Oil won't need an easement through their pipeline through the Deeds land. We won't need an easement for our sewer and water that goes through it. So it's tidied up a number of utility operators dilemmas that they have at the moment.
We'll save money.
Yeah. Yes.
All the money for those processes.
Yes.
Which is quite funny because you wouldn't know that standing on the road. It's a road, it's fine, and but it's all that paperwork and the legality, like you said.
Correct.
It's a lot of time, I think. Yeah.
And none of this is like the garages are all licensed to occupy, aren't they? So
yes, so
there'll just be no change for the.
Sorry, no, those licensed to occupy will just carry on.
Yeah.
They're already on legal road. And I spoke to the neighbour who's right adjacent to the deeds land, and she's quite happy after I told her we won't be nothing will change. It'll just be exactly as it is.
There is a risk that somebody will, however unlikely, that someone will have ownership of the land or something and
part of this
crop out.
Part of this process is you need to get a will, an notarized will or probated will. And this person, Mr. Harmon, had 12 descendants. And so you have to go and tap each of those and get probated wills for all of those. So the easiest way to do it is to actually just put an advertisement in the paper if anyone wants to come forward. If they, you know, the value of the land is insignificant for the cost of them actually going and getting a probated will and proving that they are beneficiary. So you'll see a few of these come through this committee and some of the other ones.
Okay.
But it has quite a few land parcels.
Right, so many little bits that are just sticking out.
Yeah, I know.
Interesting
Related steps are sitting on.
Really?
Yes.
That's noted.
You said this is the deeds, is this land ownership system that was before the torrent system came in.
I've sent an email to the board.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to move this. It's
Yes, thank you. I was just about to say that.
nice and sensible.
Yes, thank you, Tyrone. Appreciate that. The seconder.
Tidying things up.
Kathy's a seconder. No debate on that. No, okay. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Thank you. And moving straight along to battery.
Thank you for your
lodge.
work on that. That's very good.
Yes, Colin, you're
Enjoyed
still,
reading this
you're
before.
still at the table here. Thank you. Just give us a little bit of an overview again of Battery Road.
So this is a small portion of recreation reserve that came as part of a subdivision in the 30s. It's about 800 or 900 square metres. The adjoining owner, there's a new adjoining owner there that now, but previously the adjoining owner has landscaped it. And it provides a sort of a conduit for a couple of springs that come from neighbouring properties, and as well as some water that comes from the adjoining road. The Bentley Road goes around the corner and up to the Lincoln Mason, I think, the winery or something like that up there as well. So this person has been, he's only occupied it for about 2 or 3 years when he bought the property. He's been maintaining all the trees. He's got quite a few large trees on there. Our Parks Department don't want to maintain it, send people out there so often to mow the lawns and well. So this will just again tidy up. The adjoining owner is really the most appropriate person to purchase the land. Has no value to council.
It does. Sorry, I was trying to remember what it said in the report, but it will go to public consultation, won't it?
Yes, we'll
Yeah.
probably get notified, and
Yeah.
then if we get objections, then we will have a hearing.
Yeah.
Go through the council's hearing process for that. Yes.
It would probably come to the board.
Oh, yes, it'll have another report back to the committee.
Yeah. So we just,
Stream, he used to go, stream from above the property and through that bit of land in town. Has there stream been changed, or how does?
It's not a legal stream. It's just springs from, if you're looking at it from the road, there's a spring on the left-hand side which feeds a sort of a duck pond there.
Yeah.
It actually comes from the neighbouring property, meanders along at the toe of the thing, and then out through this property here. And then on the right-hand side, we have the water that comes off the main property owners down to the toe, and that also picks up the water from the road, Bentley Bay Road. And then it goes underneath the road, then through another huge piece of road reserve, then under the road, and then out into the bay.
Okay. I think, and you didn't see during this report any major pushback from the community or anything?
No, it's been to the local iwi, they have no problem.
Okay.
All right.
yep, I'm happy to move it.
I'll
That
second.
makes sense. Okay.
Can we have some debate on this one actually?
Yes, certainly, that's fine.
Yeah.
We've got the mover is Tyrone, the seconder is Asif, and open for debate.
All I wanted to say about this was that noting our acknowledging Russell Wedge's passing, which is saddening to hear about. This was actually something that I had quite a bit of correspondence with Russell over a couple of years ago, and it's just nice just to see it. And I think he was initially a little bit reluctant to see it kind of, because reserve land is reserve land, and that's really important that we look after our reserves. But is really pragmatic, as he always was, and just looking through it and found that it was probably worth having the conversation about just being able to work with the adjacent landowner to come up with a sensible solution. So it's really nice that we've got to this stage. So I'm really supportive of supporting this recommendation. And again, noting that the last thing we want to do is take away reserve land from communities, and so we'll go to public consultation and we'll listen. But I mean, I think that this is a sensible solution to just one of those little awkward peninsula problems. So very happy to support it.
Yes, 2 words ahead there was pragmatic and process. So I think that's good process to go from there. So unless there's any more debate, we'll put that to motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you so much for your time, Helen. Appreciate all the work and the dotting of the i's and the crossing of the t's. So
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Then can we move on to DRE, because our procedure for the museum is arriving at 11.
Okay, sure. Did we catch up on something? Oh, no, we did.
Yes,
We did.
order.
That is great, okay. Let's do that then. So let's go to discretionary response fund. We've got Dane and Joe and whoever else is online. We've got Jane, the whole shebang. Good to see you. Last time of the year.
Yes. Yes, there's a few requests, for the questions.
Oh, right, sorry. What page are we up to here? Team, we're up to 85. We're just swapping in and out of things here.
Well, my initial question is, if I may ask a question through you, Madam Chair,
Go for it.
is I'm quite keen to hear about this this dishwasher. It's a fancy dishwasher. I'm assuming it's like on some level of industrial scale that I'm not.
Yes, I mean, it's for a child user, so it will be commercial in nature. So yeah, but I mean, dishwashers aren't cheap. I don't know if you've got one in the last few years, but they have definitely gotten more expensive, and this is a commercial one, so
For this,
doing a lot of washing.
and it's well used equipment in the kitchen there.
Yeah, very well used.
Yeah, very good.
I'm happy with everything. No questions.
Okay. Any other questions around the table? Might just to clarify a little bit there, I just noticed that the full amounts are being recommended, and that's interesting. We don't often get that. Can you clarify why that was the decision?
Well, in general, it is good to try and meet the needs of groups, because otherwise we're putting a fundraising burden on those groups that, so we've got the money, budget's there, we're not, running out quickly, we're not having to, I guess, save a whole lot, because there was some underspend last time. So yeah, where possible, I think it is a good idea to meet the needs of groups. So yeah.
And 2 of those are for emergency hub stuff that we're really wanting done.
Thank you,
So
Jen. You've just taken
it's a
the thoughts out of my brain.
It's a really big part of the
Very good.
package that we resource it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I like the rate now, yeah. Otherwise, then they have to raise another $500 or $1,000.
We're pragmatic, where we see there is a possibility that they'll be able to fundraise. But often where it's, for the DRF, they are purchasing a thing, right? So like, things cost what they cost. Where with the meet the needs, it makes sense to do it.
It's good, yeah, thank you.
Great. I'm assuming that expenditure early learning is in Akarai.
Section devotion.
Yeah.
It's the only community preschool.
Right. So unless there's any other burning questions there in regards to the DRF and the applications for these guys, I'd have a mover. Asif and Tara are very busy over this side of the table. I thought Gillian was going to go for it. It wasn't quick enough. Asif and Tyrone. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Thank you very much, team.
Thank you.
Love your work.
Thanks, Jane. It's awesome.
Yeah, great. Joe, you could probably stay up, actually. I've just got the London Museum update. Are we ready or are we rushing?
Yeah.
You'd like to come up and introduce yourselves? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Peter Ruff. I'm president of the Littleton Historical Museum Society. And with me is Dominic Leeman, who is a financial advisor to the society. And I'll just say a few words first and then hand over to Dominic. So we appreciate the opportunity to update the community board on our museum, Littleton Museum project. I last spoke to the board on the 27th of November, so almost exactly a year ago over in Little River. But I think it was then basically a new board. And so I just want to recap. There's only a couple of people at that meeting. I think it was yourself and Kathy and one other person on online. So I'll just quickly recap a few things about the museum and then lead into the fundraising, which is what we're really here to talk about. So the museum was established 55 years ago, and for many years it occupied a council-owned building, which was once a Siemens Institute, I think, in Norwich Quay. And it got seriously damaged in the earthquakes. We got probably 95% of our collection was rescued by the Littleton Fire Brigade volunteers and staff from the Air Force Museum at Wigan, and everything was taken up there to a recovery centre. And after the earthquakes, we had a special meeting of our society members and decided we'd like to get a new museum going. And so we're still in the process of hoping to achieve that. We think that the museum was a significant, also somewhat quirky attraction or feature, if you like, in Littleton in those days. And so we'd like to see it re-established. And in the Littleton Master Plan, which came out just after the earthquakes, it gets a serious mention throughout that document many times, the society and or the museum. So after that, we went ahead and we prepared a strategic plan which had three basic elements. One of them was care for the collection. And so we engaged people museum professionals to work over our whole collection. They repaired it as necessary, they catalogued it, photographed it, and wrapped it. And it's now most of it is in storage in containers on the tarmac at Wigan, at the Air Force Museum. Some of the more precious things like precious documents and our photographic collection are all in storage at a sort of commercial facility called Iron Mountain, which is a big document storage facility out near the airport. Another element of our strategic plan was community engagement, sort of to try and keep a sense of keeping the museum alive. We had a website prepared. We put all our collection that could be photographed online. We have had several pop-up exhibitions, and we've engaged writers to write stories based on objects that are in our museum. So they've appeared on our Facebook page, on our website, and on a regular basis on the Bay Harbour News. And that's led recently to a collaboration between writers at Ngāti Wheki, at Rapeki, and our own writers on producing a book called Te Oaka Stories, which is basically stories about Littleton and the Whakarapo, the Littleton Harbour, which is our realm of interest, the Harbour Basin. And that book it was supposed to be done by about now, but for a number of reasons it's been delayed and won't be ready until probably early mid next year. The third item on our strategic plan was getting a new museum. So we looked at many sites. We wanted a high-profile site, and we ended up applying to the council for the one next to the library, which was gifted to us in November 2017. Can I have the first image, perhaps? So that's our site. We put a cabin on it, established some lawn and planting, and we use the cabin for meetings and various functions. Gets good use. We engaged Warren Maynard Architects in 2018. The next image. And they produced a design similar to this. It was a bit taller. And we applied for land use consent in July 2020. And for a long drawn out process, it took us nearly 3 years April 2023, we finally were given resource consent, having had to withdraw our initial application, reapply, and we ended up lowering the height of the building. So, but it's very similar in concept. So we have the next image. So I'll just conclude my words with just a wee comment on fundraising. We started that in late 2020, and from meetings that we'd had with council staff, including a pre-resource consent application meeting, we were very, very confident we were going to get resource consent, not like, you know, within a reasonable period of having lodged it, but that wasn't to be, and we ended up halting the fundraising in mid-2021 when we realised we had to, for issues we had with the council planning staff. So, and then as I said, we finally got consent in April 2023. And soon after that, we engaged Dominique to undertake a feasibility study for fundraising. And so that started in, I think, May this year. And in July, I'll just add in that I did a submission on the long-term plan and did a presentation to the council, seeking a sort of seeding fund, if you like, of $2 million. We had been advised by a person we've been dealing with over the years at the Ministry for Culture and Heritage, if we could get sort of support in terms of part of them being gifted the land and in terms of some to get going from the council. And so that's what I did. And I don't think it didn't go into the long-term plan. Is that right, Tyrone? It's
well,
it will, yes.
We've got a resolution that
Yes.
needs to be on it, Peter. So
Okay.
I'll bring that up on my screen if I can.
So, but in the meantime, we are now seeking, as perhaps Dominic would explain, circumstances in the fundraising world have completely changed, even in the time since Dominic has been undertaking her feasibility study for us. So perhaps I'll hand over to you. Just have the next image. So those are the two images. One we've had that the architects prepared, one from across London Street and one from the Library Square. Right, so over to you, Dominic.
Thank you. So Peter and the team at the museum brought me on board to provide some fundraising advice, and my advice was that in the first instance we should determine three things to know whether this was going to be a feasible project and fundraising campaign. So those three things are the level of support that the community has for this particular project, whether the right people are available to lead this project, particularly in the fundraising space, so to lead a fundraising committee as such, and whether the funds that were needed to bring this to reality were available in the community. We went out and talked to a wide range of people, all political flavours across Littleton. So these are the different phases that we were looking at for the campaign. We had the case for support document. There had been some consultation, obviously, the resource consent and so on. But really, we were needed to understand the phase 2 aspects of the project. So these are the questions we were looking to answer. And we talked to this group of people, plus a few more since actually. We haven't turned down the opportunity to talk to anybody. But we talked to all of those people over the couple of months from May to July, I think it was. And this is what we found. So the support for the project as a concept was extraordinary. I haven't seen that level of support before. Everybody, you know, there were varying degrees of how important various people saw it, but there were people who were saying, you know, this is absolutely critical for our community, we must have it. Then came the money bit, and You know, so about half thought that that goal that we presented them with at that time was achievable, but of course, nearly half were also unsure. And then we talked too about people helping us with the campaign. A lot of the people we interviewed said that they would help in some capacity. And they were also able to provide us with ideas about who we should be asking to lead the campaign. We have not approached the people that have been identified for that because of the funding issue. We know that if we ask those really well-respected leaders in the community to front this campaign, we need to have a level of certainty that it's going to be successful. They're not going to want to get involved in something that doesn't have that potential. And these are the things that happened since we started. So where Ministry of Culture and Heritage and Peter had been talking to them, they'd said that, you know, perhaps up to a third of the funding required, that regional fund was closed. Not a very significant projects fund hasn't been reopened. The money for that's all being used. And then, you know, this is the feedback to council from central government. So one of the other things that we did is we looked at other successful projects that have happened in Christchurch. And one of the things that the successful ones all shared that they got a large contribution of core funding from one source generally. Obviously Christchurch Cathedral is not done, but there was a big commitment of funds from central and local government. Port Theatre had local government support, Youth Hub got shovel ready money, and Kind Foundation also got a lot of shovel ready money. This is the budget that we were looking at. We've included year one fit out and year one operations. And the numbers that we've put in here are based on what we've seen those particular funders fund other similar type of projects at. But as you can see, there is quite the shortfall at the bottom. Now, we need to get that, you know, 60+% committed before we go out to all of these. These people won't give us the money until they know that there's a good chance of this project being successful. My last 5 messages. So I think we're now open to questions, aren't we? This is where we've got to. So really, it's I think I'm talking to you about how important this project is for the community board and for the council.
Okay, I'm sure we've got plenty of questions for you today. All right.
Thank you. So just for the benefit of the group, the council resolution was the council requested staff to work with the Littleton Museum to develop a funding proposal for a future annual planning process. So that's the expectation there. There's no quantum in that, but that's there's the desire of the full council that staff work with the museum to be able to put together how they're going to get to the target.
Sure.
Right. So that's our starting position.
What does that look like from the community board perspective? How do we support that process?
I mean, that could be
part
of our board submission to the annual plan for a start. I think it might have been. Not that I had any say in that.
Yeah.
And to continue to support it.
Okay. Howard.
From those figures, so it's going to cost what, 14 million to build it. So all these projects, including the massive cathedral, have a historic situation of raising in price suddenly from 14 million to 30 million. Yeah. So what's to stop the project suddenly turning around, getting 10 million, and then suddenly turning around and saying, oh, it's actually going to cost 30 million to build this now, which is a historic council building.
I understand that is always an issue, and the figures that we've presented there in terms of the cost of the building, we've been working closely with our quantity surveyors who have been involved right from the beginning of the project, and they probably re-estimated the costs about 15 months ago and projected it out to the figures that we've got, on a sort of inflation basis.
So,
Yeah, but a lot of these projects, aren't they, just under quoted to get start funding, and then once you're 3/4 of the way through, like the town hall, and say, well, we need another couple hundred million, so unless you provide it, we're not going to finish it. Like the
and we,
so,
we really didn't want that to be the
Well,
situation,
no.
which is why these costs have been projected out beyond today. So these are projected for the next 2 to 3 years.
So you can just basically say, you know, this is the money we need, and that's it. We're not going to turn around and say, hey, look, we need an extra 5 million just to.
That's
Absolutely the position we all came from.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Really good presentation and like the project. Spoke to a number of stakeholders. Did they commit to support you financially? Or there would have been a good start if you.
So we did ask the ones that it was appropriate to ask. It wasn't appropriate to ask everybody. And I think it was 28% said that they would.
Did you put a dollar value?
No, we did not at this stage. But certainly we would be going back and talking to all of those people again. The positive response would encourage us to think that as many as possible will support it at some level.
But it was, my sense was that the support would be at a relatively modest level, rather than sort of 3 million.
Yeah.
It would be more in tens of thousands rather than the millions. Yes. The Littleton Port Company have already about 2 years ago committed to some money, and they're giving us that over 3 years. And although we think it's a very modest amount, they have reassured us that it's the most they've ever given any organisation. And we have asked them if there was any possibility of more money in the future, but they were very cagey about that with their situation at the moment.
It's also worth noting, as if that, and noting that the council don't do GMJR accounting, but council did collect the insurance money from the initial building's demise.
Okay.
So, you know, so that's the history.
Yes, it was a council-owned building, so we were not complaining.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's amazing that the museum had just kept going all this time, and especially with all that plan about community engagement, which seems to me to be very effective too. You know, if that didn't happen, it would be pretty absent from people's minds, but I think for a lot of people it's not absent. So it's, yes, and I appreciate that work particularly. A tiny question, which was just about, I remembered that a few years ago there was that fundraising too for tiles, that people can buy tiles.
Yeah.
So I presume that's still kind of.
It's still there. Really, I guess my advice was not to be pushing that at this stage, because they were $1,500 each, which is great. And a number of people have bought them, I think around 40, maybe. Yeah. But really, from a process point of view, in terms of fundraising, I would see that as an activity that we would ramp up again at the end part of the project. The museum's got a really strong friends group. You know, they've got a whole range of ideas that they've got to build on community activity around the fundraising campaign, but that really is going to be those last, you know, I think 1 million to 2 million maybe, that the community could do, running events and concerts and, you know, any number of things like selling the tiles. But it's that real foundational funding that's missing at this stage.
Is there plan B?
If we can't get the money from that we're seeking from council in the annual plan, plan B would be to defer things until the next long-term plan, and allied to that would be hoping that economic conditions improve, possibly get a more sympathetic government to cultural matters, and see how we go from there.
Is it possible to build a cheaper building? You know, 14 million seems quite pricey for a building. You know.
It did start out a lot less than
it did start out a lot less. And we have been in touch with a man who runs a construction consultancy service. He's an advisor to Te Papa, I think, and Canterbury Museum and a host of other big projects around Christchurch and the country. And so we have talked to him about options if we got some money but not all we needed, whether we could, he would look at whether we could build because the building goes below London Street, we've got a whole floor below that, whether we could build that and maybe one floor on top as an interim thing, to get the building occupied and underway with a view to extending the height, at a later date when funds allow. But that's a process that can be fraught and can end up being more expensive than doing the whole thing in one go. Yeah, so, and he would look at that for us if when we were required to reassess things.
There was a lot of feedback too about the design of the building that's been presented, and I know that it's been an interesting talking point through the whole process since that design, Peter. But when we were talking to people as part of this, they felt that striking design was a very important and key feature of this building. That destination, there's a whole story around that design that fits in with the harbour basin narrative that goes with that.
I get to say that when Waramani first produced the concept drawings, which are really very similar to what we've shown today, we did a lot of presentations to community groups, including over in Diamond Harbour, and sometimes the architects were involved in the presentation, sometimes it was basically just me. But what we found is if people were taken through the design process, we had a presentation which showed why it was the design evolved like that. Apart from the internal, I mean, our brief to the architects was that we wanted a building that worked as a sort of state-of-the-art museum, and we gave them sort of areas that we needed for various purposes. Plus, we wanted a building that was sort of notable in its own right, that people would be attracted to it as a building as well. And I found that if we presented the whole process and the reasons for the design, people were very accepting of it. But if you just put an image up on Facebook and say, hey, we've got resource consent, here's the design, wow, that'll open up a whole lot of can of worms for people saying, what were the architects on when they designed that, So it's, yeah, but if people understand the design, I think they're much more accepting of it than just looking at one.
Yeah, it opens it up for opinions, doesn't it? And there's no explanation.
But even though there was a lot of criticism, if you like, on Facebook at various times, one of our people have analysed it all and worked out that there was actually more people in support of it than it wasn't a good design. Yeah.
So when the museum opens, what is the estimated, what do you anticipate will be the operating cost? How will it work? How will that be funded?
That's our
treasurer, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, she's up north, but she's working on that, and she has looked at operating costs of similar size museums around the country, and is working up a operating cost plan, which we would submit with our financial sort of proposal.
Okay. Thank you. And if there's any other questions?
I was just thinking, Madam Chair, through you, well, thank you for coming. It's not often that you sit here and discuss a topic where you're actually looking directly at where it would be and what it could be. And like I can see the space there, and it's just what an asset it would be for the town. So so obviously I'm very supportive, and we'll keep working on it.
Acknowledging the difficult times, but the persistence and the want from the community. So yes, we'll just see what we can do from our end.
Canterbury Museum's 250 million, so 12 million, 14 million. So
It took like 21 years to get that off the ground. I used to work at the museum 20 years ago. Yeah. And Anthony was talking about it then, like, let's get this done, it's going to happen in the next few years. That was 21 years ago.
So that's
hopefully that won't be the case.
Well, I mean, we're obviously pretty optimistic. We talked to the Port County were very keen for us to get out on the waterfront. And, but when it came to it, the land that they said that we could occupy we'd have to wait 15 years. We said, I'm going to count that long anyway.
Yeah.
But for other reasons, we would prefer to be up on the main street.
Yeah.
So, very high profile sign.
Well, what we can do for you today is receive the information and the updated report okay, so, yes, that's a good idea, great.
Well, I
Our annual plan, that's always something that we are working on at the moment. Shall we add this to our
annual plan submission.
the submission for the annual plan?
be a resolution in this report.
Okay, so we will work with staff on that as a way of supporting,
Thank you.
if the board felt that was a good way forward. I'm not seeing any. Okay, so what we have to do to dot our I's here is to get a mover and a seconder to accept this report. I'm happy to move it. Can I have a second?
There's added that you want staff to work on.
Yeah.
That is an additional resolution.
Okay.
Allows. Would it be possible to just have one more minute just on the finances, Lynn?
Yes, have we got time? Yes, we do.
Okay. We just wanted to clarify because, as Peter just mentioned to me, the initial proposal to the council was around the $2 million mark. But I don't know if it was quite clear, but given the changes in the circumstances with fundraising,
Yeah, even since then.
yeah, you're now taking the approach of asking for the full amount.
Yes, except the operating costs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was around was it
That just over 14
million
All right.
from the council?
Yeah.
Okay, that is.
We've done this, I mean, this is
interesting to
like Governor's Bay Jetty on steroids in a way.
know.
Yeah.
Community paid for check out and say GT.
Yeah, but council gave them the money up front.
Loan them the money.
Yes, that's right. And actually gave them some money out too.
Yeah. Loan most of it.
So just.
So Kathy's got a question, then you answer. Yeah.
Just also noting that in Akaroa, the museum there is like fully run by the council, so the importance of, working quite closely with, museums and things. And also I just noticed now that we had the Antarctic office involved, but Littleton being the gateway city and stuff, and the importance of gateway places.
Yes.
So I think we could put a lot more energy into these sorts of.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we've met with a number of the Antarctic organisations,
Yeah.
and they have got some ideas of where we can go and ask for some funds, but again, it's in that tens of rather than.
Yeah.
And we've met with the person from the Christchurch office of Antarctic office of the Christchurch NZ.
Dave,
Yeah, nice.
Dave Taylor.
The person was suggested, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, and then Gillian, yeah.
I just wanted a question, looking at your budget here, the total is 14 million plus. The shortfall is 11.5 million. So is that what you are asking, or 14 million, the full amount? Because you need to secure 60% of that before you would ask these other funders to share. So are you asking council to support fully?
Yes, yes.
Why? There are.
Those aren't guaranteed, they're estimates of what we might be able to get in a very competitive and difficult market.
So, yeah, so that is the case. Asking for the council means you are asking the council to get more money from the people to give you more money. These funders, there is a potential that you could get some money off them. Then why can't you ask for the shortfall? Then it is more likely to get funded at the council. At the council, they have to juggle the money as well, drop one project, pick one, half here, half there. So asking full amount with this budget on, I think it is less likely because you are showing here that there are potential donors already there.
I think it's a case of like, why not just go for the most and then see how that falls out. That's it, really.
We were advised to ask for the full amount, though we will still go back to those, and I have no doubt that there will be items and additional costs that we can ask for those funders to give to us for, maybe some digital display stuff. There will be no end of project opportunities, I am sure, to go to those funders and ask them for some support for those things.
Yes.
Thank you.
Gillian.
I'm just gonna note that I had also had a conversation with Lizzie Dryden, who was at Project NZ. This was just last week or the week before, and she mentioned the Antarctic connection and that Project NZ were very keen to foster that and get that going because they thought that had slipped. It used to be more prevalent under Leanne Dalziel and seems to have kind of fallen by the wayside a bit, and she thought that's an opportunity they wanted to pursue. So that's good.
We've put the additional resolution out.
Okay.
Minutes of the board, which protect that.
Yes.
Just a question for Liz. Seeing as it involves an amendment to the board submission to the annual plan,
Well, we haven't done this yet.
Right,
But either which way does.
I was wondering what my voting status, I will step away from that, yeah, I was just abstaining.
Better to do that, yep. All right, so just if you don't mind, staying put while we absorb that addition to the annual plan. And just make sure that we've asked all the questions that we need to ask in regards to that and how we feel about supporting that additional, the addition to us supporting that in our annual plan. We've got any other questions on that? No? Everything okay? Right, so can I have a mover for that, please? Yes, thank you, Kathy. Seconder? Yep. Yes. All those in favour? Yes. That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in today and all the best. Yes, okay, we'll have a 10-minute break now and then we will come back. Thanks, Steve.
I take your point, Howard, but it's a ways and means thing, isn't it? Like there's,
I think you're just being a bit insulting to the many volunteers that involve themselves.
Like council.
Tyrone, we're just going to take 1 second to finish our live and then you go for it.
live. The microphones are live.
Okay, excellent. Right, welcome back from the break. We are going into talking about a recess committee over this summer period. Liz, let's chat about that.
Thanks, Mel.
Pull your name out of the hat scenario.
Madam Chair, I'll take the report as read. This is something the board does every year. This is to ensure that anything. I've got that seat.
Thanks for identifying that. Thank you. I'm looking at page 91 here for anybody who needs it as well.
For a check. This is, we do this every year.
Yeah.
In my career with council, I've only called a recess committee once.
So this is just as a backup. It's just to be safe and secure. And there is the chair, the deputy chair, and two other people who are happy to be on a phone list that will most likely not be called.
Yes, but everybody gets the agenda.
Right.
Okay. We can make it the deputy, the chair or the deputy chair. I need three. I need three to do it. But in the past, this board has always had the chair and the deputy chair in there.
Well, I don't see any reason to change that apart from that the deputy is not here to speak for himself. So
you could
good reason to put them in.
It would make it or, it just makes it a bit easier.
Easier.
Something doesn't.
okay. All right. Did you want that? Yeah, sounds very good. Good idea. Okay, so
and two board members. We don't put board members' names in because it depends on when the recess committee may need to be convened and people go away. And if I'm having to wait, if Kathy's named and I have to find Kathy.
Okay. So everybody's happy to potentially be called upon if necessary and availability wise. Okay.
You will note also, Ward, that the recess committee will be available until the 27th of January when we have our first board meeting of the year, which is the Per Our Avenue hearing of submissions. It is a board meeting.
So the first one of the year is
not a hearings panel.
Okay. What does that hold on, we'll go to that question after. Is there any more questions around that recess committee idea? Are we all happy with that? Okay, so I'm happy to move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Kathy, all those in favour? Aye. Yep. Against. That's carried. Right. While we're still on that topic, and you're there, you mentioned about Pura as being a open meeting.
Yes, Per Our Avenue is a board meeting. The council delegated to the board. So it is a board meeting, not a hearings panel. Also, we currently have 19 people who wish to be heard. So that will make it a 2-day hearing. You will be hearing the submissions on the first day and making your consideration on the second day. And they should be booked into your calendar now, 27th and 28th of January, 10 till 3.
Good deal. Is there anything else as far as process that's different and unusual that we need to know about that?
2 days.
Pardon?
It's 2 days.
2 days. 2 days in a row. Yes. So as far as how things are run,
it's just like a normal board meeting hearing of deputations.
Except you will get a massive document containing all 400 plus submissions, which you are encouraged to actually read through.
Yeah. And that will go out first week of January, the week of the 6th of January. At the latest for you to digest.
It's good to know. Lots of digesting going over that period of time.
And we're going to try and get the agenda out a little bit earlier.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Liz while she's sitting here?
No, thank you, Liz. Yeah.
Thank you. Good luck with all of that work. Hopefully you can get a break in there somewhere, Liz. Oh my gosh. Okay. Area report.
Cool. Thank you. We can whiz through this. There is some very cool stuff in here though. You'll see page whatever it is, 93. a lot of information from the development advisors on all of the bits and pieces that they're working through with communities, not all of them, but key updates. You see Allendale Hall is in there, and you have a session on that following lunch today. So that will be good. The Akaroa visitor desk, I'm pleased to report that the desk is open. It's open at the moment during the service centre hours, which is 10 till 2, but once they get their keys, they will be able to open a little bit longer, which is their desire to at the moment, and that's for that trial period. It's a lot of community support and expectation going into that, which is really nice. The Akaroa research interviews continue. You see that Steffi was talking to the school children, the students at Akaroa School around that. And Linda has been very busy with, and you'll be aware of this, because she sends you plenty of nudges and encouraging emails to contribute your ideas to a range of submissions that the board wants to have a say on. So, yeah, there's quite a lot involved in organising and coordinating those, but we've got more about that later too. So we have, if we have time, which I believe we do.
Submissions when
Okay, we have a submissions query on the run sheet.
Who will present on behalf of the board for coastal hazard submissions on the 31st of January? I think it's more of a question of who is able, not like who's allowed to, isn't it? There's so many.
Anyone except Tony.
Oh, anybody. Oh, okay.
Even though for the board, on behalf of the board, not your personal views.
Even though they're on the work.
What about the conflicts of some people who are on the
Gillian, sorry, yes, Gillian.
Gillian is on the panel,
But
Gillian is on the panel as a community member.
But you still can't.
Right, okay, I've attended one member and the one is attending, yeah, so that leads.
So you've attended one, would that?
But that
as a board rep.
As a board,
yeah.
Lorana is a rep as well, and then there's no Tyrone, that's what I was kind of meaning.
So then it is.
So it's
Howard Nigel.
Howard and Nigel is.
yeah. Okay.
But what time is it?
You know what time?
It's not, it's on the 31st.
No, I've only just got the 31st of January.
They will allocate timing when they know it worked out the session timetable.
And it's possible to zoom into that?
I would say so.
Okay.
Are you interested if we can organise a time that works for you?
Yeah, I could do that.
Thank you, Asi.
Great.
So that is the speak on behalf of the board or the chat.
Yep. That'd be great. Fantastic.
Now, one of the things that the board did on a wee site visit back on 11 November was to visit the Tioka Reserve and have a look at the TT Colony site that the regional park staff. And what we've done is Heather, the royal we, meaning Heather, has took some video footage and has approval from all of you who are video. We're doing a wee promotional video for the board, put on your webpage. So we thought you might like to see a draft of that. We're not sure if the sound will come through on the live stream, but the images will be there anyway. So, and it is just draft. You have to read the words real fast because we're still adjusting the timing of how long the text is up there for. But even if you don't, you were there, so you know what it was all about. So do you want to see the draft?
Yes, please.
Okay. Howard, you can see what you missed out on. That was such
I just didn't like your authorisation form. I thought it was very derogatory and open-ended.
Was it?
Oh, absolutely shocking. That's why I wouldn't sign it.
Oh, okay. Well, we need to talk offline about that.
No,
Yeah.
Written information for this video.
yeah, I released it in this video. Yeah, not a general release though. That's what it says.
Oh, no, it's supposed to be just a bit. Shall we?
Downloading.
Oh, it's downloading.
Yeah.
Well,
Get ready.
Someone can read aloud.
Yes, very good. Yeah. Well, it was an amazing day, and that just like that footage just shows how amazing.
Yeah.
That scenery is. Awesome.
No birds.
No, they were down on the cliff.
Yeah, I wonder if you put like a picture of a bird and then like a flying one. Or...
This is the hot picture.
Yeah.
You say hi.
Exactly, good day anyway.
So there you go, that's the area report.
Awesome. Right, questions from the area report from elected members? Do you have any? It's covered everything very, very well.
I'm happy to move.
Okay. Yeah, I just have one question there. Any update on Coronation? No, it's up there, isn't it?
So we typo, I'm pretty sure it's Faulkners.
Faulkners, yes, it is. Oh, yeah, Faulkners. Okay, thank you. There's an N between the K and the E missing. Thanks, Joanne.
Okay, no, we're good. So, Elsa, if you're happy to move, have a seconder, please. Yes. Kathy, politely, they'll argue amongst themselves about it. All those in favour? Against, that is carried. Thank you very much. I'll just look at it.
Good things in there, actually.
Yes, very, very good things, as always. A lot.
Visit information desk, I was neglected to mention that. That's good, that's getting somewhere.
Yes, it is, yep. All right. Now we're up to our elected members exchange. Take care, team. This is the opportunity for us to talk about things that places we've been, the people we've seen, the things that we have heard as elected members for the Peninsula. Right. Who can go first? I can go first if that is helpful for everybody. Let me just find my list of things. Oh, that means that I can talk about the charter parade that was in Akaroa. Yeah. So the 50th anniversary of the charter parade, so it was a great opportunity to see a military parade. The mayor was there, and just the relationship with Akaroa military and the mayor, and to celebrate just the service that is provided by many people to Banks Peninsula, and what that has meant over the years. So that is fantastic. It was a great day, sunny day, hot day. Love parades. The MP, National MP, Vanessa Winnick was there, the mayor, councillor, and lots of other people from the community as well. Yes.
Was it 2 weeks ago? No, a week and a half.
Yeah, a week and a half ago.
Where's the time go?
I know. Our ET Reserve Committee met and talking through their trail plan ideas, lots of things on the go there in regards to how things might work, goals that they have, who belongs. There's lots of buildings around there, so they were sorting through who belongs to what building and where's the paperwork for this building with staff that came out to talk to the group, which was very, very good to have staff out to chat to them in regards to those details moving forward, just to tidy things up. So that's good. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it, but there was the Little River Wairewa Community Trust last meeting of the year, and we are doing some more, continuing on with the Little River Big Ideas, getting the feedback for that. So that is fantastic. So let's talk about the Agro District Promotions meeting that I went to. No. So ADP went to their last meeting as well. Very excited to have the opportunity to be part of the community working with the visitor centre. They're also talking about possible events for next year and what ways that they might be involved in that. They've got quite a few new people on their board and lots of enthusiasm, and tried to get their website tidied up and ready to go, which is looking really, really good. Yeah. So that is me. Should we go this way, Tyrone?
Thank you, Lynn. Yes, goodness me. In no particular order, I'm not going to mention the cameras meeting that we had, Kathy, because I'll leave that to you if you want to mention that. Speed cameras and stuff. Yeah, no? Okay. And Christmas morning tea for the Littleton Community House. probably covered that off, Kathy. I don't want to steal your thunder on that. I do actually want to mention, I've mentioned it already today, and it sort of came up in a public forum earlier, just around vulnerable roads and Littleton with excavations happening. And I did actually catch up with Jacob Bradbury during the week. He's quite a senior manager on the transport team. This is around Ross Parade, and I think it's just worth just bringing this up just in this forum to say, look, the work to recover accessibility on Ross Parade in Littleton has really dragged on a number of years. Now, it wasn't actually council's fault initially that created the issue, however. Well, I mean, I don't know that. I mean, I don't think liability's ever really been side on, but the point is that like council are actually getting on and fixing it now, which is great. It has actually taken a few goes at doing this, but I'm informed that we're really in the last stages of that. So I'll be really, really happy to see that happen because it really has gone on for a few years. So it does highlight the risk in Littleton and around the peninsula in general we do have some very vulnerable roads. And this won't be the last time this happens, I would say. So it's probably something for us to be mindful of in the future. How do we protect some of our more vulnerable roads? Charter Parade, you mentioned, Lynn, and following on from that, there was a meeting with the Mayor and Vanessa just to discuss some of those live local issues around Akaroa and the bays. And in particular, the provision of information for Akaroa visitors. So I'm really glad to see that that's sort of getting somewhere as well. Another thing that was really talked about there was the issues for long-term accommodation for workers and the difficulties there. We do know that 2/3 of houses in Akaroa are actually not permanently occupied. So there are some challenges there. We're not going to come up with solutions right now. It's the AGM season. I've been to the Living Springs AGM, always a great event. They do some incredible work up there, particularly looking after some of our most vulnerable communities. It's a real pleasure to go to that. That means I had to miss the Charteris Bay Residents Association AGM, but their chair did give me a fulsome rundown of what happened there. So it was good, and we obviously saw him earlier today, Howard Buchanan. The Te Ahu Pātiki AGM, so obviously Te Ahu Pātiki Trust looking after that giant mountain over there. They're doing some great work there in terms of creating habitat, which has been a theme for today. Akaroa Civic Trust AGM, which my good friend here was also at, and that was very enjoyable. Actually, the keynote speech there was actually about trapping, oddly enough. Now, I've recently become the interim chair of the O'Kane's Bay Museum Trust again, just to manage a conflict of interest that the regular chair has, as she's currently being employed at the museum. So that's just something that's kind of fallen on my plate. Very happy to do it. We love the museum. Some challenging times there. Rod Donald, just to note that Richard Sugate, who most of us will know, has retired from the Rod Donald Banks Peninsula Trust after many years of devoted service, and I'm sure we'll still see Richard around, but just to note that and just to acknowledge the sterling work that he's done there. So we had his last meeting there in Little River last Wednesday. Civic Awards. So I'm on the Civic Awards Committee. The Civic Awards are really the highest, award that we can give our citizens here in Christchurch. So it's quite a big deal. So we gave out Civic Awards as we do around this time every year. Last Thursday night, and that was great. So 9 people, who've really given their lives to our city, received awards, and so that was always really brilliant to see. No Banks Peninsula this year. Normally we've got loads of Banks Peninsula people, but yeah. So, but anyway, so that was cool. We'll know that the hearings for the Akaroa wastewater treatment plant resource consents opened on in the week beginning the 25th. So, yeah, council's given evidence there, and public submissions will be happening in the new year, which is something for us to keep across. And last Monday, council went through and made decisions around what's called Plan Change 14, which is planning code for just the work around medium density residential standards, which is kind of quite impactful for the city and future, future plans for intensification around key spots in the city. Doesn't really have too much impact. I mean, it impacts Littleton slightly, but we're actually working on Plan Change 13, which is about heritage spots, which is actually probably much more important for Littleton. So we'll just keep an eye out there. So yeah, happy to chat to any and all of you about that at any stage. That'll do it for me. Yep, cool.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. What have you said about district plan change after meeting? I've got a couple of questions. Yeah, thank you, everyone. There's a few things to report. I sent an email to board members about a meeting that I had with Jay Thomas from Tokwa Peninsula project. It's a really good project, started early 2015, and it has grown to be a national project. They are developing itineraries to highlight site of significance around the country. So they have done some work in Otago, in the West Coast, and up in North. And at the moment, they are looking for various sites in Canterbury. So I thought this would fit some of the objectives that we have highlighted in DMP in promoting regenerative tourism and the type of tourists that those itineraries will be attract. So at some stage, I think they will be present to community board, and Jake has been working with other general managers of all Runanga. I attended EPRA Area School Glass program that this company board sponsored. So it was really good. Out of 24 participants and one dropped out for some health reason, and well attended, and it was well appreciated. So it was a very good program, and they are planning to do it every year, and they thank board for their sponsor. Yeah. Attended Grand Parade, and as my colleagues mentioned, it was really a good opportunity for EPRA and the Base Forum and other members of the community to have our MP and councillor and our mayor in the same room. So there was a really good opportunity. People could ask questions and interact, and hope that we could do that more, once every couple of months or something like that. That would be a really good opportunity for people to raise some questions. And then often they feel left behind, forgotten, so that addresses. I have been having some good interaction with a number of youth groups and multicultural groups about some projects that Tyler Harrison Hunt raised. So I got some good insights, so I will share some details with other board members. Do you want to have a look into that? I think it would be it's a good project to get involved. Around the base community emergency response team is finalizing the draft based on feedback that we have received from stakeholders, 45 plus. So we hope to release that for community consultation early next year. So it would be a good opportunity for everyone to give the feedback. EPRA Sweet Trust AGM, yeah, that was very good. And Grant Ryan, he's a local resident. He runs quite a lot into technology. So amazing traps he has developed. So which based on the research that he has conducted, they are quite effective traps to get the last predator is out there. So expensive perhaps at this stage, but it has got potential to get national funding at some stage. Hopefully it will grow bigger. Just want to reiterate potential conflict of interest that I'm now Chief Fire Officer for Banks Peninsula Brigade. So if anything comes up, just remind me. Around that. So it's a responsibility. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you for your time. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not the chief fire, nothing. Just some social stuff I've been doing. I've done morning teas in Cass Bay, did the Littleton Community Morning Tea. Yeah, amazing stuff volunteers do, and it's amazing conversations you have in communities, and such as morning teas. So that's been good. I attended a what do you call it? It was called the Children's University with Lincoln and UC. They just had a generic invite for members to attend. And during that service of recognizing children kind of doing like, what did I say? Interest in like university projects. So they kind of earn credits and, they had like a proper graduation at the town hall. And we had, couple of tamariki from the Rapaki Hatu were presented awards, and Tepat Raka Hautu Kura as well were recognized in that. So that was lovely. Project Littleton will come at some point to the board to present, the works they've been doing this year. I think there's ongoing chats with Edwin and the Cass Bay community about mirrors, that stuff. So I think, it's in the process. And just to acknowledge that, although it may not have been like officially recognized, but there were near misses in the spots that they are talking about. Cass Bay is also looking at their playground renewals. So we had staff come and talk about some like community engagement stuff, ideas on what a playground would look like for the community, and also that it's a playground for the wider community as well. Chorus is working on the streets in Cass Bay to put down fibre, so there's a lot of activity happening around there. Attended, briefly went to visit the Lats at the Turanga when they were celebrating the end of year course stuff. The rec centre's been quite busy. They've got a beautiful mural in their hallways, and they also supported the 3-on-3 basketball. So it was great to see Biggest this year. They had 10 teams participate in their 3-on-3 basketball. That was all very exciting. Attended the Living Springs AGM, and that was all amazing too, to see, mahi with communities and the environment. It's good to see Taryn there as well. Recently visited with a resident in Littleton, looking at road reserves and planting and spraying of plants, weeding and stuff. So just learning about how many road reserves there are in Littleton. So and I just maybe at some point we could kind of get an update on that, possibly. Just understanding how road reserves work and people that like boundary at the road reserve, and the idea that you can opt out of actually getting your road reserve sprayed. That was quite a bit of learning around that area too, and how busy they are and the work they do. Emergency hubs, Cass Bay and Littleton have been busy. The expo in Littleton was really successful in the sense that it's raised the issue of helping animals in need. So I think they're trying to get some work started in there. And lastly, the cameras meeting, that was successful. Vanessa Wienink, the MP, held a meeting at hers just to talk with the community about anti-social road users and just that sort of stuff and cameras. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy. Megan, right. I noticed that I mentioned, I think at the last meeting, something about bikes on buses. I wasn't sure where I was at then, but I think possibly since then it got resolved. There's a temporary measure in place, which is great. I'm not sure how well used it is, but I have heard good positive comments about that. And I think just before that, which I hadn't mentioned last time, was a open day at Te Pina Aha, which is the makerspace down in the bottom of on Norwich Quay, which I went to, and it was a nice sunny day and got a good tour of things. And they have started some programs there. I think they did some upholstery workshop or something. So they've got plans, obviously. The Know Your Place what do you call it, event was run around Littleton just in the last few weeks, and involved quite a lot of different things going on. And I went to a few of them, which so there was talk called Bright Spots, where there were various people. That was at the Top Club. I think I spotted Kyra in there at one point. Very interesting speakers, about a dozen or so speakers, and quite a lot of people came. The Subaquatic Symphony, I would just like to make a mention of, which was swimming in the pool, which I went to, and it was very amusing. And that was Jo Brzezinska and her sounds recorded. So you lie in the pool and listen to these sounds and things. So that was different and
an immersive experience,
and quite well. I think well subscribed. Sold out many nights. Yes. The penguins, the Karora, little display down there, and also there was a light show at Tiana, which I did see, which was also quite cool. In the building, the woolshed, which was used temporarily for the odd thing. Just went to a Harbour Network meeting at Living Springs last Monday, and met a few people I hadn't met before, so that was good, and had a presentation again about pressure control and things at Living Springs by Craig. Can't remember his name, but who I hadn't met before. So that was interesting to connect with a few people there, and people like from around Diamond Harbour Way and that too. So that's good. And just on Sunday or Saturday was the Kokoraraja Markete, which was also quite a lovely event, and brought together the community over at Kokoraraja for Levy. So that was nice too.
A good day. Good weather.
Very good weather.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Gillian.
Oh, I didn't mention the energy. Kathy mentioned it very briefly, but I went to hear most of the talks. So the group that presented this morning, that Littleton Energy Transition, so they were part of what was called Community Energy Activator, which is what they talked about. So I saw a bigger presentation from them of version of what they presented today, and there's 8 other groups altogether that around Canterbury who were all part of that project and have all got other energy projects. So Littleton is not by no means the only one. There's all these other ones that are keen, and this course sounded like a really motivated people and got them enthused. Well, they were already enthused, but it encouraged them even more.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you. Howard.
Oh, I'm all right. Everything seems pretty good and it's ready.
Along in your neck of the woods. Awesome. Fantastic. I was just really surprised going back to how many near Littleton places on the electric car per capita situation. So that's very, very interesting.
And there's no EV charge apart from Tiana.
And that's a slow charge.
That's a slow. That's right.
Because we don't have access to the silver one.
Oh, the one.
That's interesting. Because most people in Littleton don't have it. Well, I mean, some do, but you know, lots of people don't have a garage. So to charge
from the road. How to do
so
that?
there's a problem that needs to be unpicked there.
Does, yeah.
Everyone has the same problem.
Yeah, anyone that lives in an apartment has that problem, don't they? As well, and
So yeah, how do we create the infrastructure to like?
Yeah.
Another
That's an Orion problem.
interesting fact they mentioned that tonight, I mean, was that we've got a really high proportion in Littleton of people that work at home. It was, I wrote down 13, someone else said 18%.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was interesting.
That's interesting.
Because that changes energy consumption.
It does, yeah. Wow. So, yeah, wicked stuff going on. It's a busy time of year. And as we're going into the holiday season, just a wee reminder, I've got a note here, just saying, first step for elected members if they are working with the community around an issue is a CSR. Always just that first reminder, go big. Yep. And then the next step, if there hasn't been any, action from that, is to ask staff. So share that through the, it's a shared inbox with the email that starts with Banks Peninsula. So I wanted to talk to you about that because when I email that through on mine, it comes up a few different options. So I just want to make sure we've got it all clear in our. So we can put in Banks dot Peninsula. Well, it can be, yeah, but does it need to be private? Oh, okay, right, yes, okay. We'll talk about this later because, yeah, good point. I'll take the hint. All right. One thing I do want to be public though is because it's the end of the year is a thanks to elected members, but in particular, staff. I just want to say on behalf of the community board, thank you so much for staff and for all that you do, all the support, all the stuff we see and the unseen stuff. That's like so appreciated and much needed. And we do some amazing work here. And it couldn't be done without you all.
Would be stuffed.
Completely. Completely stuffed. Yeah. Thank you very much. And Merry Christmas and have good seasons and refresh and refuel because everybody needs it. Please try and give away from your inbox if you can. Liz.
Well, the holidays are when you get to clear your inbox. It's awesome.
So I need to talk to you as well, do it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So other than that, we've got the manager's update.
Yeah, we'll do that
Afterwards. Okay. Oh, so yes, I think we're doing good for time. Let me just double check. We are okay. So we close for now for a lunch break only, and we will come back at 1:10 because we have an information session and a workshop item then. So for those of you online, we'll see you then. Thank you.